be here for so many reasons. The first being, as Eve says, I love to find ways to speed things up. And this kind of gathering, for me, is the perfect shortcut. So anyone who knows what's happened in technology knows that networks can help speed things up. And this kind of network where people are learning from each other, sharing your pain, sharing your ideas, is a great way to accelerate what you're doing. As Eleanor Roosevelt, who was famous for being the wife of the president, but was also the person that helped draft the Human Rights Convention, the original one of that, used to say, we must learn from each other's mistakes. We must learn from other people's mistakes, because life is too short to make them ourselves. So we're here today to share and get some ideas and speed things up. And hopefully what I'm going to do this afternoon is give you a small amount of stimulating shots from Superfast and from my experience. So I'm the chief executive of a company called the Caffeine Partnership. So we're caffeine, so hopefully that's good for an after lunch speaker, and I will try and make it energizing and in line with our purpose, which is to stimulate business. We've been around for 11 years, and we work with all kinds of different leaders to help them speed up the growth of their leaders, their businesses, and their brands. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I wrote the book, which is new and exciting, so I'll explain why I wrote it and why I'm excited about it. But just a little bit of background. I am, as Aoife said, obsessed with speed and understanding how it helps. I'm a bit of an acceleration addict. I like that point at when you're working with a business and things speed up. They happen fast. You can make things happen. I think it's thrilling. And I've done that inside big, slow multinationals like Coca-Cola and Procter & Gamble, looking at how the global expansion can work at the right pace. I've also set up, run and sold my own e-commerce business. I know the pain of that and how exciting it is to make that move fast and how hard it is to make it move fast. And for the last 4 years as CEO of the Caffeine Partnership, I've worked with lots of different people to understand a bit more about speed. But it is a complicated subject. And I want to explain very briefly in the next few minutes some of the things that I've learnt from talking to different people about their experience of making things happen in what we all know is a super fast world. So, I'll start by telling you about a film, not a book. Last week, I went to see a film, a very important and illuminating film, which showed 2 possible futures for mankind. 2 futures that what's happening with technology could possibly create for all of us. On the one hand, the exponential growth that's happening around technology as code is built on code, as things speed up. On the one hand, that could lead to a future, as outlined in this film, where technology enslaves us all, where humanity is taken over really, really fast by technology, and there are hugely negative impacts across the whole of society. This same film also showed in glorious Technicolor how technology could be used by smart humans to save us, to save the world, to make it a fantastic place. I took 2 members of my team to see this film. In the interest of full transparency, George and Rosie are 10 and 13. And this fantastic film was Incredibles 2. Anyone seen it? Yeah. Amazing, amazing animation. What they can do with it is fantastic. But in all seriousness, what Incredibles 2 shows is what a lot of people are feeling. The potential of technology is really, really exciting. I am so happy as an acceleration addict and as somebody who's in business to be alive right now, because the potential of what we can do in this world with technology is now really exciting, and there's lots that can be done. But it is also potentially dangerous and scary for a lot of people. And what I wanted to do in the research for this book, Superfast, was to understand how can leaders of businesses, how can everybody in business work out how we can be responsive so we can make things happen when we want to so we can share the opportunities, but also how we can shape tomorrow in a way that is genuinely responsible as well. Because what we're doing with technology, what we're doing with our businesses at the moment, is changing the shape of tomorrow very, very fast. So I went out and spoke to some people about this. I wanted to do some comprehensive research to understand how are leaders of businesses in this world which is disrupting so super fast, how are they dealing with it? I suspect every single one of you's read 15 different articles recently or heard 15 different speakers going, the world's disrupting, the world is moving fast. I'm not going to keep telling you this. What I want to know is, how do we deal with it? How do we get it right? So I spoke to people who were managing the big supertanker organisations. 100 different people I spoke to. I spoke to people like Wim de Jong, who heads up Allen & Overy globally. An innovative law firm, if that's not a contradiction in terms. You know, how do you make a law firm move fast? How do you, as Paul Polman, global CEO of Unilever, how do you respond to all the opportunities when all the competition is moving so fast? When you're getting on a plane every day, you've got to be responsible for today and tomorrow. I wanted to understand how Baroness Rebuck, who heads up the publishing house, Sarah Wood, who's one of the most amazing entrepreneurs around in London at the moment, founded Unruly, the viral media company, because she wanted to spend more time with her children, and ended up with a £124 million business, which she sold to News Corp. How are all these people coping with the opportunities of what our super fast world is giving us? And a special mention to two other people from my research list. The head, Jane Marriott, is the head of the International Counter-Terrorism Unit. So in terms of dealing with pace, when you're literally trying to save the world tomorrow, a whole different example of it all. And of course, I spoke to lots of retail and e-commerce people, and Jose Neves, I know there are a couple of people from Farfetch in the room, one of my favourite people ever, a revolutionary, trying to make things happen fast, but to do it in a way which is responsible and responsive. What was it that they are doing that helped speed things up when you need to speed things up, and helped get it right? Well, the only thing that all successful people have in common is that they're successful. So I'm not standing up in front of you and going, here's a recipe for success. You must all do it this way. This is what this person did, and you should follow it. What I did with this, which was quite useful for me, was to understand that actually different people have different ways of doing things, different personalities, and I've brought together just a few examples of how they coped. And there may be one or two examples for you which are useful. But everybody said the same thing. Everything I see reiterates the point. Right now, right here, right now, in business, there is a need for speed. As Eva says, some things require a little bit more time and need to be slow. Seductions, casseroles, bomb disposal. Also you need to slow down. But in general, there is a need for speed because you've got people who are sitting in boardrooms and in offices who are being given the example of Uber. Why can't you be as fast as Uber? Not with their taxis, with their growth. Whatever you think of Uber, they went from nothing to $58 billion valuation in 5 years. 58 countries, $58 billion valuation. It took me longer than that to get planning permission to try and extend the back of my house. Some people are moving really, really fast. A couple of years ago, Marriott Hotels, great organisation, huge celebrations because they've reached 1 million rooms. Fantastic news after 86 years. Guess who? After only 7 years, also reached 1 million rooms? Of course, Airbnb. Technology and smart leadership is making things happen really, really fast. You know, WhatsApp, same thing, reached 1 million users in 7 years. Oh, I'm sorry, 1 billion users in just 7 years. Dollar Shave Club sold started something with a lot of swearing, great brand, great ambition, sold it to Unilever, $1 billion, not profitable, 5 years later. Things are happening fast and technology is driving it. You all work in this field, you understand what's happening with technology. It's also being driven with what's happening socially. So Facebook. Lots of things happening with Facebook at the moment. Lots of things gone on. But there are more users of Facebook now than there were people alive on this planet 100 years ago. The world is changing fast, and we need to be aware of it. And what that's led to, for everybody I spoke to, for you, for me, for your audiences, for your bosses, is a huge amount of impatience. And sometimes impatience is a virtue. Sometimes impatience leads to people like Jose Neves going, I'm not going to launch in the UK, far-fetched, and then test and learn and roll it out. Tell you what, I'm going to launch in 5 countries at once, because I'm impatient to see what happens. And he says, if he hadn't done that, he wouldn't be where he was now, because the UK wasn't necessarily the best market. Impatient leaders can be great, but the hot breath of the shareholder, the investor, saying, hold on a second, why aren't you moving faster, can be really stressful. And customers, everybody wants Amazon Prime. They want the equivalent of Amazon Prime, even if you're making aeroplanes, which take a bit longer to deliver. There's so much impatience. So I wrote this book and researched this book because the leaders I was speaking to, my friends, my clients, were suffering from either scared that they were missing out, excited by what was happening and they wanted to move faster, or just feeling totally overwhelmed by everything that was going on and how fast it was moving. It's exciting, this super fast world, but it's exhausting. And trying to get that balance, because actually a lot of people are feeling both things, was something I was interested in looking at. So not looking at what everyone else is telling us, which is things are moving faster, AI is driving a change, technology is driving a change, it's disrupting. But how do we, as humans, deal with that? What do? How do we make sure we are taking the right actions, the deeds, not just talking about the need for speed? What do? These are 100 people I spoke to and all the research I did. Everybody talks about the need for speed, but what really came out was actually, it's not about speed after all. When I say lead at speed, it's about leading in a world of speed, and it is more about pace. So there is a difference. These people are setting the pace. They are pace setters. They're leading. They're the founder of King of Shaves, who bought shave.com for $32 as a domain because he realised the potential of the internet and moved fast. They set the pace for their organisations, for their categories, but they're also aware of pace for themselves. And pace, if you think about it from a sports perspective, setting the pace is not always about going fast non-stop. Because you cannot keep going super fast. It is too exhausting. You have to vary your pace. So big thought for you when you look at the super fast world, when you look at your lives, when you look at what's happening, is to think about how can I set the pace? How can I lead it? And how can I make sure it's the right pace? We talk a lot about technology. Everyone I spoke to understood technology. But really, what is it about in a super fast world, in business, for all of us? It's about the people. It's about understanding the root cause of our problems. It's people. They're the ones that are bugging. If you are trying to set the pace, an incredible understanding of humans is the most effective tool you can have. And understanding that you don't have to keep going like a busy fool at a relentlessly fast pace just because the world is moving fast. This I've heard from so many different people recently. I feel it sometimes. We are so busy, we don't have time to think. Our diaries get full, we don't have time to think. If you're thinking about pace, making sure you find time to pause to think is one of the biggest ways you can survive the super fast world. The power of the pause. Very effective when you're speaking, because people notice what you're saying, the power of the pause. Works for people who want to go fast. You say to an impatient leader, you've got to stop, you've got to slow down. Jose Neves, the founder of a fast-moving company, you can't tell them to stop, but you can tell them to pause, to think, to pause, to renew, to pause, to spend time together and work out what direction you're going in. The danger in moving super fast all the time is that you get speed that goes off in different directions. The concept of velocity is very useful because velocity, for any physics experts here, is speed in a given direction. If you're setting the pace, tell people what direction they should be going in. Make it clear, set the goals, have a clear purpose. Everybody I spoke to who used a purpose for their organisation was able to set the direction and also to motivate people. Because motivation comes from the Latin movere, which means to move. If you want to move people, if you want to make things happen, you need to understand people. You need the empathy that makes all the difference. That means knowing your audience, your client, your customer, getting as close as possible to them. It's how Jeff Bezos has been the king of speed. He's customer obsessed. The best organisations spend all their time getting close to their customers. Startups often move so fast because the founder is actually the client and the customer, so they can make decisions fast. Get close to your customer, understand your customer, and you can move so fast. Understand your team, because everybody who's wanted to turn around a company or do something different or achieve more understands the power of teamwork. And above all, my thought for you all today is pause and spend a little bit of time to understand yourself. The people I've spoken to who managed to cope, Matt Britton, the head of EMEA Google, nightmare job. You know, trying to keep up with everything that's happening in Google, trying to keep up with the competition, trying to keep up with the criticisms he gets in the press. He, like everyone else I spoke to, had taken time to understand his strengths, his weaknesses, and also how he could work. It's not narcissistic to spend time thinking about yourself. It's worth the time investment because it will help you. And it will help give you the energy you need. And energy is everything because cars don't start, fires don't start, businesses don't move, people don't move unless you've got energy. And you need energy to survive the super fast world. Lots of people, I've spent years reading every single time management article out there, trying to squeeze productivity out, new apps on my phone to help me be more productive. It's not time management, it's energy management that can make all the difference. Understanding if you're motivated by listening to music, and that gives you energy. Surrounding yourself with people who are radiators, not drains. Exercising, it's boring, but everybody says it. Give yourself the energy to get it right. Check your diary. Is your diary full of the wrong things that aren't energizing you? Tom Peters says your diary should reflect your priorities. And above all, being careful with your diary, being careful with your lives, to make sure you are not doing things that you shouldn't be doing. It sounds terribly obvious, but I suspect everyone's in this room here because you are hard-working, ambitious people. And that means you will probably be doing a lot of things, which is exhausting, and some of those things might not be the things you should be doing. Best bit of advice I've ever had is someone who said, "Darling, you can do anything, but you can't do everything." So my thought for you today is to encourage you to think about strategically being a bit more lazy. Not being idle, but having a bit of a resolution to only do the things that only you should do, things that matter. It's made a huge difference to a number of different people. Michael Greenlees, who has headed up a number of advertising agencies over the year, smart guy, nice guy. But he said when he was CEO of a big data company, he went into meetings with only two objectives. The first, to give everything he possibly could to that meeting, contribute as much as he possibly could, help as much as he possibly could. Second, to walk out of that meeting with nothing on his to-do list. Stunningly lazy. But why? Because he kept the intellectual composure and the energy to talk about and to think about and do what really matters. what really matters to you? Are you focusing on that? Are there things you can say no to? Because that will give you energy and that will speed things up. I'm sure you've heard the Bill Gates phrase, want something done, give it to a lazy person. They will find a shortcut. They will find the quickest, fastest way there. Are you doing that with everything on your list at the moment? Are you finding a way in which technology can speed things up? I talked about Skype, I had a long conversation about Skype earlier. Skype a few years ago was one of those things. Slack now is. What else is there that from a technology point of view is speeding things up for you, or can be the shortcut? You're experts, you know how to do it. And let's take some inspiration from a 1930s German officer. He resigned before Hitler came into power. Hammerstein von Eckhard spent a lot of time thinking about how to motivate his army of people. And he said, any army or any body of men, people, can be divided into 4 different quadrants. Clever, industrious, hardworking, the lazy, and the stupid. And each officer only possesses 2 of these classes, right? So, what he said was, you need to divide all the people you know and the people in your organisation into these quadrants. There are clever, diligent, stupid, and lazy officers. Usually 2 characteristics are combined. Some are clever and industrious. Their place is the general staff. The next lot are stupid and lazy. They make up 90% of every army and are suited to routine duties. One must be very beware of anyone who is stupid and industrious. He must not be entrusted with any responsibility because he will always cause only mischief. But, and this is the point for all of us to think about, anyone who is both clever and lazy is qualified for the highest leadership duties because they possess the intellectual clarity and the composure necessary for difficult decisions. To survive in business in a super fast world, you need to be able to make decisions and make them fast. If you weighed your brain down with thinking about your ironing, Justine Roberts founded Mumsnet, moment of truth for her was when she outsourced her ironing. If you weighed your brain down by doing lots of things that you shouldn't do, you don't have the clarity and the energy of mind to make those decisions. So try and be a little bit more lazy, and you'll be able to do more. How can we do less? What can we focus on? What can we ruthlessly prioritise? How can we do it faster? Who can we use to speed this up? Our friends, our networks, our connections, the technology. People can help speed it up. Thinking like a lazy person is okay, because that then gives you high velocity leadership, speed in the right direction, because you've chosen that direction and you're focusing on that. And actually, this is good for business, you get more results. But the reason I care about it and talk about it is because I think it's more fun that way. You can make things happen, it's exciting, you can get real results, you can create and change things. Jeff Bezos sums it up, speed matters in business. And a high velocity decision-making environment is more fun too. So, Latin phrase for you, citius est melius, quicker is better. And I will finish by just telling you about the hummingbird. I talked about empathy earlier. And there is a trend for something called bioempathy at the moment, which is where you take things from nature to help you in business and life. I'm quite urban and metropolitan. I don't tend to look at nature much. But the hummingbird is worth thinking about, because the hummingbird moves super fast. It flaps its wings so fast you can't even see them. It flies faster than any drone. They've tested it, Stanford University has tested. It flies super fast. And it is the most agile bird. Only bird that can fly backwards as well as sideways, downwards and round. It knows how to pivot. It knows how to respond. Biggest brain of any bird. It listens well, has great vision. And the hummingbird is exceptionally good at timing, knows when to return to a flower, and energy management. It moves fast because it manages the energy. So think about the pace of your organisation. How can you get the pace right? To pause and slow down to think, to speed up to act. And think about your pace. If you're ambitious and you want to survive the super fast world, how can you manage your energy to do more and be like the very beautiful and very different hummingbird?